At first glance, motorsports seems extremely expensive, and that's because in most cases it actually is. But there are other ways to get into it. And I'm going to go step by step, and a lot of this has to do with, personally the route that I've taken, and my hope is that it's repeatable for other people. So the first thing is get a car. Get a car. And it doesn't have to be a Jaguar F-Type R. It doesn't have to be a Lamborghini. It doesn't have to be, matter of fact, it could be anything. It could be a Ford Escort. Matter of fact, I think those things are getting kind of expensive these days. But what I would suggest, get a manual transmission. That is the first thing. That is the first thing I would suggest. Get a manual transmission, because that is going to make you a better driver. It's going to make you understand the mechanics of the car. It's going to make you understand wheel spin. It's going to make you understand engine speed. It's going to make you understand and inherently what is going on with the car that you're driving. And in this day and age where a lot of people don't know even how to drive a manual transmission, it's going to give you a lot of clout. The other thing that I would do, if you can, is I would make sure that car is front engine and rear wheel drive. Why? It's literally just logistics. Front engine, rear wheel drive, manual transmission is the easiest internal combustion engine car to work with, because it's mounted longitudinally and you've got room. You've got space to work on all this stuff. If you've ever worked on a front wheel drive V6 engine or even a front wheel drive straightforward engine, there's not a whole lot of room to get your little hands in there and change out spark plugs and air filters and all that kind of stuff. It takes 3-4 times as long. So that's all I get. So then the other thing I would do, high production numbers. I didn't always believe in that. I had a 2006 or 6 BMW Z4M. It got rear-ended all the time. It was red. I promise you I will never get another red car. But people, they either loved that thing vehemently or they hated it vehemently. One time I got rear-ended and it took me 6 months to get parts in from Germany. And that was right at the beginning of the summer in Seattle, which means that I missed the entire summer. I got the car back from the shop just in time for the permanent rain to start. So get you something that is low production numbers. Might I suggest a Miata? Might I suggest an old Mustang? It could be a 4-cylinder, a 6-cylinder, an 8-cylinder. It doesn't matter. Just high production numbers and something that everyone is familiar with. Don't worry about getting something rare. And then, okay, what about actually driving it? So once you've learned how to work on these things and fix these things, driving is a matter of making yourself known to different communities and signing up to their different activities. Thing one, driver skills. When I was in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I took my driver skills courses, places like the BMW Club, Northwest BMW Club, Northwest Porsche Club, Northwest Audi Club. For some reason, I'm not sure. It always seems to be the German clubs. But they have those driver skills sessions. So what do they do there? They take your regular everyday driver. And by the way, the car that you own is a lot more capable than you think it is. You just haven't pushed it yet. But you have to push it in a safe venue. So what do they do there? They do hard braking. They do slalom. A lot of times they'll do a wetted skid pad. So there's a big old truck with water in it, and they, spray down a big old piece of concrete or asphalt or whatever, because it's typically in a big parking lot. And you practice dang near drifting, going in circles, trying to keep control of the car. Like I said, slalom, hardcore braking. The moose test. You brake, and then there's a light that says you can't go here, but you can go here, and you brake, and you turn, and you come to a screeching halt. And it's really just simulating you trying to avoid obstacles. And you really start to get a bit of a sense for the capabilities of your car, because I don't think that anybody really appreciates how capable their current car is. You got something with 175 horsepower. I guarantee you got something that you can't drive at the limit if you've never driven it at the limit before. Cars are more capable than you are until you have a lot of practice. All right, so that's the driver skills. The next thing you want to do, sign up for autocross. Autocross, to me, I don't really like it, but it's great for fundamentals. You go to a huge parking lot, like a horse racing facility or some parking lot to a stadium. They've got cones and they're laying this way, they're laying that way. And what you're doing is you're trying to get the fastest time. It's going to be, a coin is like laying on its side and another one is like this, and you're doing a long sweeping left-hander, and then you do a sweeping right-hander, and then you go into the slalom, and the whole ordeal typically takes about minute and a half. And let me tell you, you've got a whole bunch of adrenaline. But autocross, look up autocross. So here's thing 1, driver skills. Thing 2, autocross. Thing 3, what I would do is I would look up high-speed track days. Some BMW clubs and Audi clubs and Porsche clubs and other clubs, they do manufacturer-based high-speed track days. And it's typically you drive out to a racetrack, and you typically have about an hour of instruction time, and then an instructor jumps in a car with you. And mind you, those guys are brave AF, because I wouldn't want to jump in a car with anybody who doesn't know what the heck they're doing. But they jump in the car with you, and you legitimately go around a racetrack quickly, very fast. And they're telling you, hit this apex and hit that apex, and brake harder or give it more gas. And before you know it, you've done a 20-minute session on a racetrack. And let me tell you, for a lot of people, that's as much as you need to do. And I will tell you, once you've done something like that, you respect your car a lot more. And as a matter of fact, in my personal experience, you start to speed on the highway or on the B roads a little bit less, because for a fact you can't mimic the upper echelons of performance that you did on that track. As a matter of fact, in order to get that sensation again of really pushing your car to the limit, what you want to do is get back onto track. And then you start to kind of look down your nose at the guys who are speeding on the highway. You don't know what your car can do. I know what your car can do. I've been there. I've been to a track, right? So you start getting that mentality, and you actually get too proud to drive like a jerk out on the street. So then there are other classes that you can do. You can do autocross. So like I said, autocross. But then you can do rallycross classes. And I have to say, rallycross was one of the pivotal moments for me where I feel like I learned at the next level. I learned how to control a car on a loose surface, aka gravel, dirt, water. And so what they told us is lift, and that is putting your weight over the front wheels. So you lift, turn, brake. That's how you do every single turn, at least from what I was taught in rallycross. And what that does is it teaches you a lot about weight balance, weight transfer. So you lift, and that puts the weight over the front wheels. You turn, and that tells the car to turn in a little bit. And if it's not turning in enough, you brake a little more and it turns in harder. So lift, turn, brake. I remember I tried to play dirt too before taking a rallycross course, and I could not play it. It was a video game. I could not play this video game. But after I took the course, and it was at Dirtfish in, was it Snohomish in Washington State. All I know is I got done with that half day or day long course, whatever it was, and I could play that video game really well because I had learned how to do weight transfer. Weight transfer is like the beginning of advanced knowledge, because that's where you get your trail braking and all that kind of stuff from. And then from there, you do your track days. Sometimes you do solos, sometimes you do with instructors, but you get used to being in a car at speed, sometimes by yourself, sometimes with an instructor. You get used to the flags, you get used to the distractions, you get used to the build out that you got to bring. Do I need tires? Do I need to change the brake fluid before I get there? What about the brake pads? What about the car? Is it going to overheat? And you start to really learn how a car functions in adverse condition. And it actually needs more stuff. It needs more brake pads. It needs more radiator fluid. It needs more this and that. So you start to get well versed. You start to build out your car. You start to be like, hey, I need braided brake lines. I need slotted, not drilled rotors. You start that stuff out. And then the next step is you get into, a racing series. And this takes, hopefully you got a group of people that you can talk to. And the three main series that you can race in without needing an SCCA or a NASDA certification is 24 Hours of Lemons. That's the racing league that I belong to. There's Lucky Dog Racing, and there is Champ Car. And by the time you get to these kind of things, you start to realize you need a whole team, because you might be towing a car out to, Bowling Green, Kentucky, or to Houston, or to Oklahoma, and typically it's going to be a lot farther away than what you could do yourself. The car is going to fall apart. Doesn't matter what kind of car you get. And it's going to be like a 3-day racing thing, and you want teammates, because at the end of the day, if you're just racing by yourself, it isn't really racing. And then after that comes getting your racing license, your competitive racing license. That is something that I haven't done yet. That is something that I probably will do in the future. As a matter of fact, I probably will do in 2025. And that is how you getting your racing license is how you signify to other teams that, yeah, I'm experienced in this craft. I am dedicated to this craft. I am a student of this craft. Because long and short of it is, when people spend a whole bunch of money on their race car, they want to make sure that the hands that are guiding that thing around the track are steady. So yeah, if you have your own car at this point, then maybe it costs you like $3,000 or $4,000. If you don't have your own car and you have to rent a car, then it's going to cost you $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. And if you crash that car, then you're on the hook for the repairs. So if you're on a racing team, or if you've built your own car, at least when you crash that thing and you have to fix it, it goes back to you and or your team, versus fixing a car that you'll never drive again. So that's something to consider. But everything that I'm telling you, that's a way to get yourself involved in a sport that, quite frankly, could be a little bit dangerous, definitely adventurous, and it will most likely quench your thirst for adventure. I was a 25, 26-year-old guy way back in the day before, but guess what? I was also a Marine. And so I had no shortage of adventure, jumping out of helicopters and all that crap. Motorsport is just one way that I know to, kind of scratch that itch. Maybe another way is martial arts or boxing or something like that. And you'll grow into a more, mature version of yourself. But, nobody's perfect at 24. You just got to get out there. You got to do your thing. You got to prove your shit. I don't cuss very much, but so that probably didn't roll off the tongue very coherently. But
what?
You got to do your stuff. And from my perspective, because it's also my passion, motorsports might just be a way. Now, this was a super high level discussion of the kind of things you can do in motorsport. If you've got any questions, leave comments, hit me up in the DM. If this was too high level and you want to know specifically, well, how much did your Miata cost to build? I think I left it in that video, in the build video. But yeah, reach out, ask. And yeah, if you feel like you need to, mash the gas and pound your chest and all that kind of stuff, I would say before you do any of that, find a way to do it that actually builds on your credentials and doesn't take away from it. That way everybody can be proud and you can be happy that you did it, and you can stack it on your list of accomplishments that will follow you for the rest of your life, versus some kind of crazy speeding ticket or some kind of crazy accident that will also follow you for the rest of your life. All right, I've been Dalton, and this has been the Petrolist, and you have been great. I will see you next time. Looking forward to the next Formula One race, and with that said, I am out.